In this video, I will draft a sleeve suitable for the knit bodice pattern. To draft the sleeve, I first need to measure the armhole curves on the front and back pieces. I'm using the bodice pattern from my previous video. In this case, the front armhole curve is the line A25-A14, and the back curve is A14-A19. I start my draft by creating a new pattern piece. You can also draft the sleeve directly on the same pattern as the bodice, just create a new starting point for the sleeve. From point B, I mark the sleeve cap height. The cap height is calculated based on the armhole curves of the bodice. I add together the lengths of the front and back armhole curves, and the sleeve cap height is 1/3 of that value. From point B to B2, I measure the sleeve length. From point B1, I draw a short arc with a radius equal to the front armhole curve. I added 0.5 centimeters to this value, but this is optional. The intersection of this arc with the vertical line through point B gives me point B3. As you can see, in my drawing the axis and the curve don't intersect. This is because I set the wrong angle for part of the arc. Here's how I corrected it. This is also the shoulder point of the sleeve. From point B3, I draft an arc with a radius equal to the back armhole curve plus 0.5 centimeters. Again, adding this ease is optional. The intersection of this arc with the line coming from point B1 gives me point B4. I connect points B1, B3 and B4 with helper lines. To shape the sleeve cap, I add several auxiliary points. First, I divide the segment B1-B3 in half, then shift the midpoint 1 cm toward B1. I then divide the resulting segments in half again and mark short perpendicular guidelines, as shown in the illustration. In this video, I'll be adding these lines a little later. Next, I divide the segment B3-B4 into 3 equal parts. Here I am adding the auxiliary points to the front part of the sleeve. Then, I divide the section from B9 to B4 in half. At these points, I also mark short perpendicular guidelines, as shown in the illustration. I connect the points using the curve tool. Just like in the bodice pattern, I draw the front and back sleeve curves separately. Then I smooth out the curve shapes. At the midpoint of segment B1-B4, I mark point B15. From this point, I draw down to the intersection with point B2, which gives me point B16, the center of the sleeve hem. From point B16, I measure half of the sleeve width to the left side. I connect point B17 to point B1 with a gently inward curved line. I like to draft one side first and then mirror it to the other side. On the sleeve width line, at the middle, I measure 0.5 centimeters upward and draw the new wrist curve. I mark the central line of the sleeve. Next, I transfer the sleeve to the details mode. Here's how I pin points for the grain line of the sleeve. Now, in details mode, I use the pins to mark the grain line. Then I add the seam allowances, and the sleeve is ready.